Whether you're just getting familiar with power tools or a pro on the job every day, the drill is hands down going to be one of the most useful and versatile tools you'll use. Well, using a drill might seem pretty straightforward. There are a handful of seemingly small yet incredibly helpful things to know that will take your DIY to the next level. I'm Shannon, and in today's video, we're going to cover 5 tips and tricks for using your drill that I wish I knew when starting out in the world of DIY. Welcome to the Beginner's Guide. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be the first to hear about new product announcements, DIY projects, how-to videos, and so much more. The first tip is to understand the settings on your clutch. Every drill is going to have these numbers across the top, and they essentially tell your drill how much power or torque it needs. The reason that's important is because using the right amount of power will prevent you from sinking your screw too deep or damaging your material. If you're working with a more dense or hard material, you're going to want to use a higher number on that clutch, and on the flip side, using a lower number setting when dealing with a softer material. A lot of it's going to come down to making small adjustments until you find that sweet spot, which is why I recommend using a scrap piece of wood to practice with. If you're only drilling holes, switch to the drilling icon on the top, which disengages the clutch and allows your drill to keep spinning until your hole is fully drilled. Tip number 2 is to understand the right amount of pressure to apply to your drill depending on your application. Many beginners when starting out make the mistake of not applying enough or any pressure at all behind the drill, which can cause issues like the bit slipping out of the screw or even stripping your screw entirely. It also depends on the material you're working with. For example, when drilling into wood, you're going to want to apply light pressure, but for something like metal, you'll need that extra bit of force to get through that tougher material. For best results, use your free hand to keep pressure on the back of the drill as you're boring your hole or driving a fastener. As a bonus tip, since both hands are going to be on the tool, it's important to always clamp your materials securely to your work surface. Safety is always going to be your best bet, no matter the application. The third tip is to pre-drill holes, which are also referred to as pilot holes. Pilot holes are holes you drill into your material before securing a fastener to avoid splitting your wood, especially towards the end or edge of the material. It also helps with accuracy when working on a project that requires precise entry of a screw. Screws don't always enter your material accurately, and pilot holes help to zero in on exactly where you need to be. These can be done with a regular twist bit, self-centering bit, or a countersink bit, depending on what you need. Tip number 4 is to use a scrap piece of material underneath your workpiece when boring a larger hole to avoid blowout on the back side. A lot of the time when you're drilling a hole, especially with something like a spade bit, the exit point of that hole will end up damaged, which is what's known as blowout. To avoid that, simply take a scrap piece of material and clamp it underneath your drilling path to ensure a clean exit point. The fifth and final tip is to understand that how you hold your drill determines where your screw or fastener will go. Think of it like you're turning the steering wheel in a car. Where you direct your wheel is where your car, or fastener in this case, is going to go. This may seem obvious, but if you're not paying close attention to where you're holding your drill before securing, you can drive your fastener at an angle, which could result in one of 2 things. First, it could easily ruin a project or build you're working on by damaging the material. And second, let's say you're driving into a stud to mount a TV. An incorrect angle could drive your screw out of the side of your stud, which won't allow it to have that strong hold it needs, and ultimately, your mount and TV could fall off the wall. It's tips and tricks like these that help you take that beginner project and turn it into something you're truly proud of. You'd be surprised how much of a difference applying just a few of these can make in your everyday projects. Be sure to check out our Brad Naylor Beginner's Guide video for more helpful tips and tricks. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to stay up to date with all our new content, like the Tools 101 series, Beginner's Guide, our How to DIY series, and so much more.